morale and communication. There is a communication barrier at Company ICE, which is a fictitious name for the actual company. And the reason why I chose this project was because I have vested interest in it, and I do care about the population that works there. 3 questions that I had is, does morale appear low at the company? Is there lack of communication? Recently, there had been some restructuring and some work standards that were imposed on the employees. So this was another option that I thought may have been a reason for the low morale. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of or preview of what we already established with historical literature. Over a decade ago, the economy had went down, and morale was down, and companies didn't value their employees because there were so many people out of jobs. The lines of communication weren't there. Work standards historically were too expensive to maintain. Metrics cost a lot of money, and to have third parties come in and measure and set standards for the employees. In addition, the labor unions, they don't agree with work standards because their model is a fair day's pay for fair day's work. So they didn't want those either. Current literature tells us that because everybody's making money, everybody's happy, there's more communication with employers, employees, and as well, work standards are affordable, and the local labor unions are excited about these new metrics because the job seekers are more apt to go work where there's equal pay, equal work. Chapter 3, objectives. The purpose was to determine communication barrier between management and employees. The result or the purpose for this was to make the employees and the management aware or bring to surface why there is a communication, if there is a communication problem at all. The data collection was a survey. I asked for permission. It was expected around 50 respondents. I have 83, and we have this problem where I work is FMLA, and it's where you go out on disability. But people are abusing that now because they don't want to work. So they're going on FMLA. So that's the reason why I didn't have the full 83 because of personal injuries. I did this survey in approximately 1 hour. And the reason why I did it in 1 hour is because management found out that I was surveying, and they were appalled because they knew this was going to be a reflection on them. So they kicked me out of the building. I waited in the parking lot, and in between shifts is where I got everybody to do their surveys. The research model that I used was descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. The methodology that I used was chi-square for all the hypotheses that I used. In addition, I had a question that people can give the researcher additional information that they could give me that was not on the questionnaire. Now, if you look here, 80% of the respondents disagreed or strongly disagreed to having clear communication between management and the supervisors, as you were, management and employees. And if you look here, you can see where they added up. Feeling valued. Feeling valued, 63% of the respondents didn't feel valued. And this was question number 6. And if you notice, there's no Yahoo here of the respondents feeling that they strongly valued at this company. So this is a large company, and you would think that they treat their people well, but obviously with these statistics, the people don't feel that way. The inferential statistics for these hypotheses were for communication, seniority, and incentives having no significant impact on morale in the workplace. Here you'll see using questions 4 and 5, you'll see right here 0.001 is less than 0.05. So this was rejected. And the new hypothesis was communication does have significance on morale. Question 5 and question 8 tested for significance. The null hypothesis was rejected. As you see, is 0.000 was the p-value. In question 9 and question 5, this was, I believe this was significant incentives. And the reason why this was accepted was because this is a union-structured environment. There are no incentives. However, the reason why I wanted to see if this was going to be rejected was I could have gave this as a tool to help with the morale in the workplace. But it was accepted. So implications for further research. As I mentioned prior, we had the union and the company got together and they bargained a work performance standard. They did not get the employees involved. There was no engagement. So the researcher thought that this was going to impact the morale as well. If you look right here, the implication for work standards may not have a negative impact on morale. And the reason why is because on the qualitative answer, not one employee responded to having work standards is why their morale is down. And here's a little synopsis of what they wrote down for that answer. And there's a few commonalities here where there's no communication here, not feeling valued, not feeling like they're being mistreated or disrespected. So some possible recommendations are implementing educational, and I don't know if anybody in here has been through a labor dispute, but they don't end happy. So historically we had a labor management committee that would come in as a third party, and they would sit across the table, and everybody would engage, and that helped build like a bond and bridge the gap between both entities, and helped the morale. Everybody was excited, and this is something now that is coming back because I've sat down and I've presented this project to our plant manager, and he's accepted it. He hasn't made any commitment, but he's entertaining the thought of bringing back the labor management committee. And that would be it. Thank you guys, and hope I didn't bore you too much. Because it's on. I know it's on morale, and morale is something that. But one thing I do have to tell you is that I did get corporate. Corporate has asked me to submit my paper to them because they were in parallel with this. They were doing their own of the environment. And there's some similarities, so they want to see where I got my information from.
So this would only happen just at your plant? Or
yes, this facility is in Rancho Cucamonga, and it's just at my facility. The one that the company did itself, this is just the warehouse department. They did the whole facility, and there is some correlation between mine and theirs.
Wow.
It's great when that happens.
Any questions?
A couple of things that he hit on, and I knew what he was saying, and you hit the points very eloquently and excellently, but I want to reiterate them.
Well, I feel my voice squeaky.
We thought that this, what's it called, a standard,
Labor
productivity
standard, metrics.
Yeah, that the introduction of this standard was going to have a direct impact, a significant impact on morale. And we found out that it didn't. I mean, and you mentioned this, Shawn did, in his qualitative question 10, nobody brought it up at all. Was that?
Nobody, not one person.
Not one person, not one respondent brought up the productivity standard in any way, shape, or form, which is an interesting finding. The other interesting finding that we found surprising was the lack of interest in any kind of introduction of an incentive as addressing low morale. I wanted to hit